up on him. I hung up on him because like I'm sitting here trying to tell you that I already contacted the lady. Like, why are we really on the phone? Like, what you? Hi, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm about to give y'all the video that everybody been wanting. The whole process of my nail shit from start to finish, the trial and the error and the bumps in the road. Use what I went through as a guide, so you can either like take away like, oh, I ain't gonna do this like her, or you could be like, oh, I am gonna use something that's like do what she did. So I'm gonna take y'all to the beginning. I first started doing nails in 2020. The reason why I wanted to start doing nails was I was going to the nail shop and I was always very intrigued on what they were doing with my nails. I always paid attention to it, as us girls too. So when 2020 came around, the nail shop that I was going to, they was like going based off of, oh, you gotta text this phone number in order to get an appointment. You gotta do this, that, and the third. And I'm like, look, just too much is going on. I just want my nails done. I promise you I just want my nails done. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna just order me a little kit and I'm gonna start doing it myself. Mind you, I always had this in my head, like, I wanna be a nail tech. So in 2020 was actually when I put it to the test, put my skills to the test. When I first did nails, ooh, this is how it came out. but we're here now. So I finally got the kit from Amazon and the kit came in. I couldn't do nails in the house because my mom was like, I don't like that smell. No, you're gonna have to take that outside. But mind you, we used to have a patio cover on our platform that we have in our backyard. I would go out there, bring out this like folding, y'all know the TV dinner stands that you would use when you're watching TV. So I would take that outside and I took the kit outside and I would just basically use that as my little nail table to get my practice on. We had outlets outside, so I was able to like run the extension cord to like plug my drill up, and I would just put it back, and then when I would want to practice it again, I would pull it back out. Fast forward until when I actually started getting good and started getting the hang of things, I started taking clients in the house because outside it was getting real hot. It was messing with the temperature of like the monitor and things like that. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna take clients, I don't want to be taking them outside. So my mom agreed for me to do it in my room. When I first started out, I was really taking clients that were mainly like friends of the family. But when I started gaining more clients, I did have the thought of the shed because I didn't really want people that I don't know in my personal space like that. So I was like, okay, I could make a little space separate from the house where they don't have to really be in my room like that. And plus my sister, she started breeding at this time, so that really made me more excited, like, oh, this could be like a double space. Like, I got really excited, and that's when I started doing more research on those things. Started watching a lot of nail shed videos on YouTube. I was watching videos of like men building sheds because it wasn't really that many videos of nail shed videos. Like they had like a few, like about like 4 or 5. But most of the time when you would Google nail shed, you would show somebody like building a regular shed. So I would still just watch those like, I could keep this in my mind. Like, what if I wanted to get out there and build a shed one day? And I was really watching those nail shed videos to try to get an idea of how big I wanted the shed. I know the sheds come like 8 by 10 or 10 by 12. So I got a plan in my head and I told my mom, I'm gonna save up this much amount of money. The money that I was trying to save up, and I really wasn't trying to go above that, and I was trying to find something below that, was $4,000. So I was like, okay, if I find a shed for $4,000, I'm gonna just cash out on it and I'm gonna just get it. My mom was like, okay, go talk to your dad, because my dad he's a man, he knows a lot about like the outside work and all the extra stuff outside. My mom, she just helped me out with like the planning and stuff like that, but my dad was the person to go to. So initially when I first started talking to my dad, he was giving me a whole lot of options on how I could save money and not like really cash out on the $4,000 that I was saving up. He was like, okay, what about the shed that we have is like a metal shed, and he was like, you could just convert this shed. And I was like, that would be a whole lot. So the more and more we thought about it, I was like, okay, I could get this stuff. He was like, okay, just get this stuff and we could start like patching up the holes and try to like convert it to where the plan was, it was going to be the shed is like about this big, was longer than this, but This is like the width of the shed, and he was going to split it in half to where it still be our storage stuff, and then the front will be little space where we was gonna do our little salon. So he did start a project where he did like, they call it like caulking like the holes. He did start that, but then the more we actually thought about it, it would have cost way more money for us to renovate this shed, getting sheetrock, boards, floors, trying to build the wall and all that extra stuff. It would have cost way more money doing that instead of me just buying a shed. So I was like, scratch that, it's taking too long. So this what got me to looking up more sheds like I was doing in the beginning, but I was specifically targeting Home Depot. Home Depot was like my tunnel vision. I was like, Home Depot, I'm coming for you. I know you have those sheds, okay? So I would always beg my mom, like every time the weekend would come, I'd be like, Mom, can we please go look at sheds? Can we please go look at sheds? She'd be like, not today, I got this to do, I got that to do. And I wasn't driving at the time. So it's not like I could have got up and went to Home Depot myself. And even if I did, I would still want her opinion on it so she could kind of tell me like, no, like, am I thinking too much big out the box? Like, I need a second opinion here. This particular weekend, when we first arrived to Home Depot, I was so excited. And you know how Home Depot always have like the little sheds like lined up on the outside with like lawnmowers or grills or whatever else they have out there. And I was like, oh, I can finally see it in person. Like, I could finally get the feel for me being in here. I could feel like the bigness of it. And I was like, oh, like, yay. So I was very excited walking into the sheds. We looked at a 8x8 shed. We looked at a 8x10, and we looked at a 10x12. So we ended up, after we got done looking at it, we ended up leaving. So my mom was like, okay, take a picture of it. So it was like the picture of like the pricing outside, and it had a name at the bottom. It said Tough Shed. So I'm like, okay, my mom was like, I was like, do you think that's like separate people, or is that just the people that they get the shed from and the people that Home Depot get the shed from? And she was like, well, next weekend we could come back and we could talk to them about it. So we left that day. We ended up coming back next weekend. When we got there next weekend, I had enough saved up and I was like, all right, I'm determined. Let's get to it. We need to roll this on. Where's the trailers? I need this packed up like pronto, stack. Walking inside, and my mom was like, okay, I'm gonna park the car, go talk to the lady and see if you could get the shed. So I was like, okay. So I walked up in there, I'm like, I'm getting the shed today. So I walked up to the lady, I was like, hi, I would like to purchase the shed. And then she had told me that they actually didn't do the shed, but it was the separate people from them who does the shed, and they had like their own little table set up, like kind of like in the middle of Home Depot. Went over and talked to the people, the Tough Shed people, and they basically told us that it's not a cashing out thing on the shed. You can finance the shed. So I was talking to my mom. I'm like, finance? What is finance? So I'm like, I can't get the shed. And my mom was like, no, you just gonna have to finance it. And I was like, what is financing? And then she basically told me that's when you like pay on it every month until you end up paying it off. So I was like, okay. So we got the cards. I ended up going home, looking up Tough Shed, and I found out that they have one very close to us, like an actual building that you could go talk to somebody instead of going to Home Depot and just talking to like their little representative people. I don't know what to call them, but like their little their people. We called that building, and she told us that we could come there. No, wait. First, we called the people that was on the card. The man name that was on the card that they said that was in charge with those particular people, they come from different locations. So those people were from a different location, but they were just at that particular Home Depot. So the cards that they had it said this man's name. I called him, he didn't answer. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And that's what made me look up the place and see that I had one close by us. Mom went ahead and called the lady, and she told us that we could come in the next day. So I was like, cool, I'm excited. I get in the shower. So after I get in the shower, I hear like somebody blowing on my phone while I'm in the shower. So I'm like, who is this? So I like step out the shower and answer the phone. I was like, hello? And he was like, hi, this is Tom calling with Tough Shed. And I'm looking at the phone like, I don't need you anymore, Tom. I already done contacted the lady. Like, this is already squared away. Like, what do you want, Tom? I told him, but like in a nicer way. I was like, hi. I was like, I already contacted another location. And he was like, okay. Like, that's literally what he said. He was like, okay. And I'm looking at the phone like, okay. So he said, but he was like, what location did you contact? And I told him the location. And then he was like, well, we have different promotions. How do y'all have different promotions but y'all with the same company? Okay, beg to differ. Okay, I was like, I basically like told him that like, I already contacted y'all. Like, what else is there to talk about, time? So then he goes on to tell me the same, like we're basically repeating the same thing back and forth. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Because I did hang up on him. I hung up on him because like, I'm sitting here trying to tell you that I already contacted the lady. Like, why are we really on the phone? Like, what, you want me to tell her no and she's closer to me and you want me to come all the way out there to the wazoo? Like, no, I'm gonna go to the people who's close to me. Like, y'all with the same company. Like, it really doesn't matter at this point. I was getting real snappy, y'all. He was getting real snappy. I say we ended up going back up to the Tough Shed place who was close to us. We talked to the lady. She was really nice. We told her what size that we were trying to get, and she showed us like a model shed that she had already built for us in particular, and walked in, saw the inside of it, and I was like, oh, I like it. So we went back in the building and she was able to customize my shed for me, get the colors, ask me that I want a window and all this extra stuff. And then she started talking to me about the finances. So I was like, here we go about this finance word. What does this word mean? Like, that word was scaring me so bad. She made sure that we had like all the permits and things that we needed. She went down to the building and she was like, basically they would need like an estimate to make sure that your backyard was like the perfect size for where the shed is going to be. And I'm like, where are we going to get that from? So I had asked my mom. I was like, where do we go to get that? And she's like, oh no, it's right down the street. Like, I could just go and get it for y'all. And I was like, okay, good. And later on that day, she sent through a lot of paperwork through like emails. I signed all the paperwork, told her I wanted the shed. I had to give a specific description of where I wanted the shed in our backyard, and we already had a previous shed on like this cement platform, but it got blown away during Ida, so that was gone. I already knew that I wanted the shed on that platform because it was just easiest. Like, the platform was already there, you just put the shed on. I went ahead and we came up with a specific date of when I wanted the shed delivered. Now in my head, I'm thinking that the people who work at the Tough Shed place would be the ones building the shed, but now she had texted me and she confirmed the date with me. She said the earliest that they have is Friday. So I was like, okay, we could just do Friday in the morning, because I know I used to work overnight at that point. So I was like, okay, Friday will be cool. I could take off for the day so I could be able to like handle everything. Now when I got up that morning, they had told me, the men were texting me and they had told me that they just came from Baton Rouge and they'll be there in a few. So I was like, okay, because they had to go build a different shed on somebody else's property. So I'm like, okay, I went back to sleep. I was like, they ain't gonna be here for a while. Oh, did I know? I get woken up by my mama hollering. She was like, get up, the minute, get up, you gotta go talk to them. So I'm like, huh? Like, what? They're here. So I jump out the bed. I'm like, oh my goodness. So they was outside ready. I snatched up of the blinds. They outside ready, pulling the stuff to the back. I'm like, man. So I went out there and I'm telling them like what specific area I wanted and stuff like that, and showing them the platform. And he was like, okay, cool. That's all I needed to know. That's all I had to talk to after that. I'm like, you could have just told them. You could have just told them. You did not have to run back here and scare me about sleep like that. And we didn't really talk to them that much. We just let them work and do their job. It was two men, and I just went ahead and brought them out some waters and was like, here's some water. Do y'all need anything? And they was like, no, we're good. So it took them like 2 to 3 hours to build the shed. So I'm just sitting there looking. I'm like, I'm watching this thing come to life. I'm like, yay. When my dad got home after they finished it, he was like, oh, they finished it. And I was like, yes. So we was just outside talking, and that's when me and my dad started talking about the shed is here. Now we need to fix the inside of the shed, because the idea that I had for the inside of the shed, I really wanted it to be, I wanted it to look like a room. I don't want it to look like a shed. I've seen other people like nail sheds, and not knocking them at all, but most of the time it was like finished, but like half finished, if that makes sense. Like they would still have like the wooden walls kind of up a little. And I know I didn't want my shed to look like that. Like I wanted it to look like a room. I wanted it to look like this is not a shed. I was like, hey, I got this from this friend, and we could go ahead and go with him. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, how fast could y'all get it done? Y'all, in my little mind, I'm thinking this thing is about to be done within the span of like, I wanted it done now. Like, soon as the shed got there, being very impatient, very impatient. I was like, I want it done now. I want it up and ready tomorrow. Like, I'm ready to get in here. But that was not practical, because everybody that my dad knew, they also worked. So it wasn't really practical to get those men out here and have them working day in and day out on this shed. Like, these people got other lives too, Jada. You cannot do that. My dad ended up telling me that one of his friends was an electrician. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, that's great. Like, how much would he charge me? And then he was like, nothing. Nothing? Excuse me? Nothing? I was like, oh my goodness, thank you, God. Like, because when I was looking up the prices of electricians, boy. So I'm really thankful that he did that for us. It was really nice of him to do that for us, because that was like the main part that would have been the most expensive, was setting up all the electricity in here. And all I had to do is get like the supplies. And I also had his other friend who was a retired contractor, and he's an older guy, so he wasn't really in here getting to work. He was like kind of telling my dad and his friends like what to do, if that makes sense. He was just guiding them like They knew what to do, and they really made my shed come to life, and I really thank them for that. Even though it took, I think it had to take like 3 months for the whole shed to come together, because once again, they live their own lives, and I can't have them here 24/7 sitting here trying to build the shed. So we had to like plan out like every other weekend, like, okay, this is when we could work on this when we could work on that. So I had to go in and work with them on that, because at the end of the day, this is the future me talking, but the me, realistically, I was getting very impatient. I had many hard days, and I was like, when is it gonna get done? Like, when are y'all working? Y'all not working on it today? Like, like, I was very much getting irritated, and the future me could say that I was definitely wrong for having the attitude, because behind the scenes, my dad really was working, trying to get this shed to come together, but I couldn't see it like that, because I'm like, oh, y'all not working on it today? It ain't gonna never get finished. So I'm just going crazy in my mind. But I'm very thankful that they were able to do that for me for free. Mind you, these men were doing free labor. I'm very thankful for that, very. The most I did was, my dad had told me that I could like buy them like food and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, y'all want food? Just get to work. Now, getting the supplies on the project, I really didn't have anything mapped out. Now, I wouldn't say that I didn't have nothing mapped out, but I was getting paid for my job. So every week, any money that I had to spare, like $100 or $200, I would tell him, okay, this is the amount that we have to use for the light or for the flooring. So I would say with that part, go what works for you. If it works for you to create a budget or anything like that, to you can know like where your money is going, you can do that. Now with me, I bought the supplies as they needed it. So if my dad would tell me this weekend, okay, we're working on putting the installation up, I would buy the installation, I would buy the staples and all that stuff. Like, okay, boom, here's what y'all need. And he'll be like, this weekend we're working on putting the lights in. Like, what lights do you want? I wanted the spotlights, because I didn't want anything really hanging from the ceiling, because I didn't want it to look too crowded in here. So I would just get the lights. So I would just buy it like in increments like that. And as frequent as I was going to Home Depot, I didn't really have that many credit cards on me already. So my mom was like, Don't get too many credit cards because you don't want to get backed up on them. But she was like, it'd be best if you just get a Home Depot credit card because you know you already have the shed, find a lot of things for it, so you might as well get a credit card so it could be able to build your credit up, and you can also just buy the things that you need. So with a credit card, once we got down to the end, I used the credit card to buy the more bigger things, and those two were the floors and the air conditioning. So I went ahead and bought those two with the credit card, paid that off, boom. Have I ever touched that credit card since? No, because I need to know self-control. Throughout this video, I have told y'all a lot about my ups and downs with building this shed, and I want y'all to see this as a guide for my future nail techs or anybody beginner nail techs out there who want potentially in the future have their own space. You can use what I went through as a guide, so you can either like take away like, oh, I ain't gonna do this like her, or you could be like, oh, I am gonna use something that's like, do what she did. Basically, at the end of the day, do what works for you. I did what works for me, and it's definitely working. So if you want to cash out on the whole entire shed, you can do that. You can save up, you can do that, or you can just go the route that I went and just finance the shed and pay a certain amount every month. And if you want to get more in detail with this process, go ahead and check this video out right here or right here. And I will see you guys in my next one. And thank you guys for watching. Bye.